The 49ers quarterback controversy, man, is something that a lot of people are still going to keep talking about until we finally get to see who ends up being the better quarterback for a legitimate span of time. Because I don't get why people can't understand that Brock Purdy simply is the best quarterback that the 49ers have on their roster. And this is why I want to take the time today to analyze the 49ers quarterback controversy, man, because I think the answer to how this controversy is going to play out is pretty simple. Brock Purdy's going to get healthy from that elbow injury. He's going to come in week 1, and he's going to pick up from where he left off last season, which was taking the 49ers to the NFC Championship game. And you know what really gets me going? What really gets me fired up is when people like to doubt Brock Purdy, and they like to use the whole ceiling argument. Well, they need to go with Trey Lance because Trey Lance has the higher upside. You know what starting Trey Lance over Brock Purdy does? It shows you that you're politicking. And you know what politicking means? Politicking is where you don't start the better guy based off who's the actual better player on the field. You start who you think has more upside, or you start the other guy who isn't better than the dude behind him. And the locker room does not get behind that. The locker room will severely be upset if Brock Purdy isn't the starter. Okay, like Trey Lance, okay, he may need a little bit more time for us to show everybody what he's capable of. But we've seen what Brock Purdy did last season. He took the 49ers to the championship, and everybody wants to discredit him, talking about man, anybody could have played that way with the team he had around him. Well, Trey Lance didn't. And then people try to throw the argument at me, well, Brock Purdy was a 4-year starter at Iowa State. And when Brock Purdy was in his final season at Iowa State, Trey Lance was on the bench behind Jimmy Garoppolo. He had plenty of time to not just learn the offense, but also get acclimated to the speed of the NFL. So he had a head start over Brock Purdy than anything. And plus, he was getting majority of the first team reps all throughout training camp last season. Remember, they had pretty much pushed Jimmy Garoppolo to the side and said, we don't even need you to come practice. And they had Trey Lance getting all those reps, all those first team snaps, and Brock Purdy was just in the back, not even getting the sniff of the first team, right? And then he comes in against the Miami Dolphins and ends up acting like he is a veteran, and he's known these guys for years. Do you guys not know how difficult that is? A quarterback just doesn't go from being Mr. Irrelevant, which is pretty much a meme, to end up being the 4th-string quarterback to inserted starter in the middle of a really big game. And then he just comes out and looks like it's effortless. That's pretty much what he did, because he was slicing and dicing Miami's defense. And he did this with no first team reps. Do you guys not understand how difficult that is?
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
This man outplayed Trey Lance in 2 games and a half of football. And we mean to keep saying that, oh, well, we don't know how good Brock Purdy truly is. He isn't more talented than Trey Lance. The best quarterbacks that ever played this game, I'm not going to say all, but some of them had limitations. And although Brock Purdy doesn't have the physical strengths that Trey Lance possesses, he's good enough to win you games. We don't know if Trey Lance is good enough to win you anything. So therefore, the 49ers, to solve this controversy, should obviously start who the better guy has been on the field up to this point in his career, and that's been Brock Purdy. And if you think Trey Lance is better, you need to
stop it. Get some help.
Like, you really do, man, because there's no reason why you should be saying any times that Trey Lance should be starting over Brock Purdy as QB1. There's no reason why Brock Purdy shouldn't be starting for the 49ers this year. He's already proved to us that he's better than Trey Lance on the field. He's won the games. Brock Purdy should be the 49ers starting quarterback week 1. And if you don't believe that, man,
stay off the weed.
Seriously, bruh. Because I don't even know how you can make an argument for Trey Lance starting over Brock Purdy. outside of potential. Are the 49ers tanking, or are the 49ers trying to win a championship? If they were tanking and they just wanted to say, you know what, we don't have a shot at winning the Super Bowl, then okay, they should go ahead and start Trey Lance, because it just makes sense when you have nothing to play for. But if you're trying to win a Super Bowl this year, Brock Purdy gives you the best chance of that. Well, JT, you know, defensive coordinators watch film, okay, and you act like Brock Purdy isn't getting better. Who right now has looked like the better quarterback for the 49ers? Trey Lance or Brock Purdy? Brock Purdy. You talking about well, he hasn't had the amount of games that Brock Purdy has played in. Okay, well, let's compare what they did in their first 2 games. Who was better? I think it was pretty obvious who was better. And it was even more impressive that Brock Purdy did it on a short notice. That's the sign of greatness, when you can just get called on in high pressure situations and deliver like the way he did. He was their 3rd string quarterback, man. Their 3rd string quarterback. He was Mr. Irrelevant. Nobody was expecting anything out of him. Now, they do got Sam Darnold looming in the background. And let's say Brock Purdy isn't ready to go week 1, or something unfortunately does happen to Brock Purdy where he has to miss some time. The rumors floating around say that Trey Lance is behind Sam Darnold on the depth chart. And I was going back and forth with one of my homies, Juice, and he was like, man, I don't know why they got Sam Darnold over Trey Lance. Well, I think it's pretty obvious why those rumors are coming out, because Trey Lance hasn't been better than Sam Darnold so far. Now, both of them have been splitting the first team reps 50-50, but what the reports say is that if the season was to start right now, Sam Darnold would be the starter. I just don't think that Trey Lance is a good fit for the system that Kyle Shanahan runs. I really think Trey Lance would be better off in a different opportunity, because this is not a really great one. And to be fair, you know, he did get injured. He hasn't really had the time to really get significant playing action. He's one of those players that is only going to get better with more reps. But it's like the NFL is a performance-based business. And if you can't perform, you're not going to get a lot of opportunities. You don't have time to sit around and get better. Like, most of these GMs, when they draft you, they expect you to be good right away due to how good Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert were. Nobody's really drafting a QB in the top 5 for them to really sit for a year or 2. Like, if you get drafted in the top 5, top 10, they want you to play and they want you to be good right away, because if you're not, people end up having doubts about you. And if you don't have that same head coach, the new head coach may not be all that big of a fan of you. So we tie this back into the 49ers situation with Trey Lance. I just don't think that him and Kyle Shanahan are a good fit. I think, you know, they got a little bit overzealous. I think they were dreaming a little bit too much about what he could be, and maybe not seeing him for what he kind of was coming out, which was a developmental project. And that's the same label that people try to put on Justin Fields. But at least the difference with Justin Fields is that he had way more years of experience being a starting quarterback at a way higher level of college football. He would have been a better fit than Trey Lance. So Trey Lance right now, he kind of looks like a bust. So if you're the 49ers, you're better off just trading him, trying to see if you can get a 6 or 7 round pick. And if not, you know, I mean, you could keep him around, but I mean, I'm pretty sure he's not going to want to be like a 3rd string QB and watch Brock Purdy continue to shine. When you think about the expectations that he probably had, and, you know, his dreams and aspirations to be the starter, and you just going to let him sit and, you know, be on the books for his rookie contract, I don't know, man. I feel like if you're Trey Lance in that situation, you may end up trying to force your way out. I don't think he would be thrilled with being like a 3rd or backup option when he was a 3rd round pick. If he ends up doing that, that shows a lot of humbleness on his side. But for the 49ers, I feel like you got a diamond deep in the rough and Brock Purdy. I watched a lot of Brock Purdy when he was playing for Iowa. That dude is solid. For real. Like, when they drafted Brock Purdy, I said that was a perfect fit. And I had him on my top 10 quarterbacks rankings. People keep saying that a lot. They keep saying, oh, you got Brock Purdy on your top 10. Like, Brock Purdy is a serviceable QB. He's really good. If you are asking him to operate the offense that normally is dedicated on the short and intermediate passing game, which he does very well, And he also is very accurate in the short intermediate passing game. He's a good enough athlete where he can extend plays, pick up yards with his legs, but also he has really good ability to move his arm and throw his arm from different angles. So I think that Brock Purdy brings a lot to the table that a lot of people are overlooking. So I expect Brock Purdy to be the starting QB. I don't know too much about Sam Darnold, honestly. I think that Sam Darnold is a capable backup. Maybe in the right situation like this one, he can be a serviceable starter. But I don't know. Maybe he could end up going off because this dude also was a high first round pick. And sometimes when you link up these first round picks that haven't worked out with a elite offensive mind, they end up kind of flipping the switch. You remember Sean Payton's final year in New Orleans with Jameis Winston? Jameis Winston had the best touchdown to interception ratio in the NFL at 14-2, and the Saints had the best record in the division at 5-1 until he ended up getting injured. So if Sam Darnold ends up getting an opportunity, I'm not saying that it's a guarantee that he'll go off, but he may end up looking a little special with Kyle Shanahan having a magic touch. But this is my thoughts on the 49ers quarterback controversy. Let me know how you guys think about it down in the comment section down below.